Welcome to the YouTube channel. My name is Lucas, 3 Point Spanish King, and today we're here to review the first Test match between South Africa and India at Supersport Park. And today we have our favourite South African guest, Tim Dale Lars. Thank you, Tim. He was with us to preview the first Test match, and we wanted to get him back very strongly. So here you are, Tim. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here, even though we lost the Test match.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not the news that you wanted to do. You probably want to be on here a little bit more happy. But you know, India and South Africa did play in the first Test. A somewhat very disappointing South Africa with their batting lineup or their batting performance per se. And their bowling, especially in that first session, was not great. And India won very comfortably, even though a day was lost due to rain. But Tim, that wasn't actually the surprising news or the shocking news. It was after that Test match, and that's the retirement of one Quinton De Kock, which took us all by surprise. I'm sure it took you by surprise. I don't think a lot of people saw this coming. In fact, anybody. Or maybe someone did. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this shock retirement, Tim?
Like you, when it came out last night, I was shocked. But when you look at the deeper ramifications of what's been happening over the last 12 months, I'm not shocked at all. It doesn't surprise me in the slightest. On its own, do you think it's an individual who is giving up on Test cricket to focus on the white ball stuff, where the real money is made, and that would be a perfectly legitimate opinion. But when you take it in context of how Faf du Plessis, Imran Tahir, and Chris Morris were treated before that T20 World Cup, then you can't help but look at the wider picture, that there must be something wider here at play, that there is a very poor piece of man management going on in Cricket South Africa. It's difficult to point a finger on any one individual, but the man management skills over at Cricket South Africa are, to put it lightly, really poor. They are really, really poor. You looked at how Faf du Plessis and Imran Tahir, they went public on Twitter about how their poor treatment was. The lack of communication, the lack of telling them where they were within the South African context, within the South African cricketing context, where they were in their careers. You look at the fact that he took a break early in the year, due to the strenuous bio bubbles that all the players have had to endure. It's definitely affected him to have that an effect. Then we had the directive from Cricket South Africa that they had to kneel during the T20 World Cup an hour before the match went on. Then you take into consideration that he was the captain, the Test captain, at the beginning of the year, and that was taken away. So when you take everything in context, I think it is an element. I think there's a fairly good argument to say that he will not sign as an extension when his contract expires with Cricket South Africa. I think you'll see with the T20 World Cup, but I'd be a little bit surprised if you see him beyond that. So on the wider context, I wasn't at all surprised. If you look at everything in everything together, it was kind of coming. Something like this was kind of coming.
Do you believe he was pushed out the door? Now we all, I don't want to get into this per se, but we all know what happened with the political stance with the kneeing. Do you think he was actually pushed out the door or intimidated into leaving this team?
I don't think there was any one thing. I think it was a combination of things. So I'm not going to go as far as saying that, but I do think it was a combination of things. And I think that what it boils down to is very bad man management by Cricket South Africa, because he's had this break at the beginning of the year. He's had very little Test cricket this year as a whole due to COVID and various things. You don't retire after one Test match in a series when you're not going to play the rest of that series. It doesn't say to me that this is a well thought out retirement, that this is a planned one where we're going to say goodbye to one of our greats like we did with Jacques Callis. It says something happened. I don't want to speculate, but
yeah,
one thing is true. The management of Cricket South Africa for the last few years has been poor. Not just the last 12 months, the last few years. It's been very, very poor. So I don't want to pick any one thing.
Yep.
I think it's a combination of things at play.
Yeah, and I don't really want you to speculate because, you've got a large following. You might think you're a small fish, but, you're well respected. And I don't want to put you in a situation where you might say something and it gets you in trouble. That would look very bad on me. It look very bad on you, and I don't really want you to speculate. So I'll move away from the political side of that. Now, you mentioned that he's all these all-time greats, along with Jack Callis, Graham Smith, and the player. Where do you rank Quinton De Kock? Because he burst onto the scene, modelled his game along with Adam Gilchrist. He said he was one of his heroes growing up, and he's pretty damn close to Adam Gilchrist. Yeah, Adam Gilchrist, had the average, had his hundreds, but the playing style was very similar to Adam Gilchrist, and a very good gloveman. His takes, in Australia in that 2016 tour, I believe, in Hobart, we took that magnificent takes. He makes them look so easy. So where do you stand as Quinton De Kock, the player, along the all-time greats of South African cricket, or in fact all-time greats ever?
Yeah, I use the word great very, very rarely. I have to say, world class, absolutely world class. A once in a generation player. That is absolutely no doubt about it. Once in a generation individual. We are well stocked in the keeping department, but he was a guy that could turn a game on its head.
Yes.
Whereas in any situation, in all three of the formats, the fact that he could do that in all three of the formats and did it is a testament of what a quality player that he was. His numbers, particularly in the Test cricket, don't make you sit up and take notice, but you've got to dig a little bit deeper into the situation and look at the strike rate that he's scoring those runs. His strike rate is, I think, 70. That's an extremely impressive numbers overall. So world class, one of our best. But because he's retiring, this would be his prime now. From 29 till 32 would be arguably his prime, as particularly as a batsman. He'd be going into a really good place now. He would maybe be going to that next level. He would be maybe making sure that his averages is 44, 45. So it's going to be a career that is unfulfilled, at least in this format. But still a really quality batsman, quality keeper of the highest order.
I think that was well said. When you're watching Quinton De Kock, what innings comes at you the best? You look at I'll probably use Australian players here as an example. Sorry about that, Tim. Ricky Ponting, Edgbaston in 2005, where he made that 100. Even Graham Smith, when he came out with a broken, I think it was a wrist, against Mitchell Johnson in Australia. Michael Clark, South Africa, where he got absolutely bashed from pillow to post from Morne Morkel and Dale Steyn and made that 100. What innings do you see from Quinton De Kock that you say, oh yeah, that's the one he will be remembered for?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. That's a difficult one. There isn't one that comes to mind. There isn't one that comes to my mind instantly. Again, and maybe that's because I kind of expected it. You kind of expected it because he's such a generational talent. You kind of expected him to have those performances, score those big scores. But it would have to be one of the 6 Test hundreds, probably. It would be difficult to pick which one. But they were all really good.
That's fair enough, Tim. You also mentioned, he's still very young, and it's completely with this retirement. He's still got his prime ahead of him. Yes, at times I think, in my opinion, he has been a little bit too inconsistent between he's very good and he's very bad. How will Quinton De Kock be remembered as a cricketer, as a on the field cricketer?
That's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. I think in the world, he's going to be regarded as a once-in-a-generation cricketer who was easy on the eye, lovely to watch, a sort of softly spoken individual. Wasn't controversial at all.
No.
Didn't like to rock the boat.
No.
And then you're going to have Quinton De Kock this last 12 months. The controversial guy who refused to kneel, who marched to his own tune, who did his own thing, who didn't like authority, who didn't like being told what to do. So there's going to be 2 camps. That's unfortunate. There's going to be 2 camps. There's going to be great batsman, lovely to watch, once in a generation cricketer, loved him, gave me so much joy watching. The other side is controversial, arrogant, self-centered, so-and-so, who was only after himself and the money. Yeah. So, unfortunately, because of what's happened in the last 12 months, it's going to be split.
Yeah. And I think that's a shame, because I think you hit the nail on the head. Once in a generation, these players do not grow on trees. Quinton De Kock does not grow on a tree. He is world class. You'd probably get any side. I'm just trying to think of other wicket keepers around the world. I'm really struggling. So he's been world class for. It feels like he's been there for 15 years, but because he's so young, that's the mind-boggling thing about this, is that you feel like he's been around forever, but he's still very young. So it is a shame that of course some will remember him as that, and that's disappointing. But before we move on to another topic, how did you see Quinton De Kock captaincy? Because he was captaincy for a short period of time, and I feel like sometimes I think he was an easy target. You'd hear nonsense comments in commentary saying, "Oh, he doesn't smile. You don't see him being passionate enough." What's your take on him as a captain, or was a captain with South Africa?
Quinton De Kock didn't change. You get individuals, when they walk into the captaincy, they change. They change themselves as an individual. They become either more steely, or they become more talkative, because they want the press on their side, so they become a bit more engaging. Quinton didn't change. Quinton was quiet, unassuming, wanted to be left alone, and that's how he did his press conferences. Quiet, unassuming, leave me alone. And that is a problem when you become Test captain. You have to give and take. You've got to say, right, that's a hard question, I'm going to answer. and I'm going to answer properly. Quinton, at times, answered important questions with a yes and a no. There was nothing. So the journalists were not particularly pleased with his repertoire, shall we say. On the field, he was, nothing. Yep. He wasn't surprising. He didn't think outside the box. Yep. It was completely changed from Faf du Plessis. Faf du Plessis thought outside the box.
Yes.
Did everything different. Trusted leg spinners in general. And Quinton didn't really have time to find what he was. He didn't really. That's part of it. He didn't have time to find what he was as a captain, whether he was forward-thinking, conservative, or what. So, just nothing really.
Okay, so we'll move on from Quinton De Kock. And believe it or not, there was actually a test match played. We were just talking about Quinton De Kock because, he was such a great batsman. And as Tim pointed out, he was only 29, which is probably the most saddest thing about this. He was still very, very young, still had 6-7 years left and still wasn't even near his prime yet. So very sad. So India and South Africa, Tim. We go with the selection. My take on this was I thought South Africa. I thought they went too one-dimensional. I thought they used the three same bowlers: Ngidi, Mulder, Janssen. Put it outside off stump. We'll see what happens. Yes, Ngidi on the stats looked pretty good, but was it really good bowling, or was India, as I said, they lost a day to rain. They tried to play shots. My opinion was, I think what really cost South Africa this match was the first two sessions. Janssen, we get it. He was on debut. It didn't quite look like a test player. Sorry, Tim, if that offends you. This is just my opinion. Mulder, same bowler, bowling 135 Ks. Didn't really seam, didn't really swing. How did you see those three bowlers and selection picking those three bowlers, Tim?
Bowling wasn't the problem. Although, as you rightly point out, it was a problem in the first two sessions.
Yeah.
And you could argue that's why we lost the test match.
Yeah.
We bowled too short and too wide.
Yeah.
In that particular first session. In that first session, there was one drive down the ground for a single.
Yeah.
For 2 hours, there was one drive. All of their runs were scored in front of square on the offside, behind square on the leg side, and a bit towards third man. There was nothing in the V. That tells you everything. And Rabada admitted it. He said when we finished the first session, we didn't need Boucher to tell us we bowled rubbish. We knew we had. We knew we bowled rubbish. 83 for no wicket at lunch, day one. And that wicket was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It was never a 272 for 3 wicket in any time of that test match. Never. It was so the damage had been done. Then they brought it back. They were much, much better in the second innings. Much improved. Janssen, I think, is a huge talent. I did think it was maybe a bit too early to bring him in, but on the evidence of the second innings, he proved me wrong because he was walking through his action in the first innings, nervous. First test match, of course, you're going to be nervous.
It happens.
You're going to hold it back, so that's absolutely understandable. Second innings, he was much better, full of length, bowling with real purpose, bowling across the right-hander. And when you get the ball to come back in to people like Rahul, they didn't like it. Bowling in the ribs, they didn't like it. The bowlers for me were, I thought Ngidi was excellent, but only from the second day. So they were all poor at the first. So it probably was Ngidi, Mocha Janssen, Rabada. Those were in terms of how well they bowled. Rabada was the worst of the three. And he's our premier fast bowler, leader of the attack. So that is an area of concern. But as I'm sure we won't get into, that wasn't the main problem. The main problem was the other facet of the game.
Yeah. And as you, before we get into the batting, just for reference, who did impress you most with the bowling out of those three, Mulder and GD and Janssen? Who impressed you the most out of those three bowlers?
Janssen. I thought it was probably 12 months too early for Test call-up for Janssen. Absolutely, he was going to play for South Africa. That was not in doubt. That was absolutely not in doubt. But I just thought that against India, it might be a bit tough for him. But he was absolutely superb in that second innings. If that catch Agarwal had been caught in the first innings on 34, could have been very different. We could have gotten a boost, and we could have bowled a lot better from that by getting the wicket. Because he deserved that wicket in that first day. He deserved to bowl well enough to get that wicket. So
I agree with you there. I think overall, I felt a little bit sorry for him when that happened. Catches happen. We've seen in the Ashes with Rory Burns, but when you're a young player on debut, it can demoralise you very quickly. When you think, I've got first wicket and then it's dropped. I do sympathise with him with that point. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I think he was the best, which is quite a thing. I really think when you take everything in context with the debut and everything, and starting nervously, I thought he was really, really good. And that wasn't just his best. I thought he was good at batting as well.
I do actually want to get into the batting, but were you happy with the selection of this team? Now, obviously, the big one was no Olivier. A lot of mysteriously about that, because we didn't know what happened, and South Africa kind of made a statement saying, well, he's injured, he's got some kind of complaint. I personally didn't buy that. Go ahead.
So I'm just going to go. Again, this goes back to management and communication, which is cricket South Africa have a real problem. I asked what the team was announced. I said, is everyone fit? Cricket South Africa's response to me, yes. Everybody was fit. Then it's he had COVID and he wasn't 100%. Then it was he's bowled less overs in the nets, bowling load, than in Gidi. I don't actually know how that's possible, but technically it is possible. So he went from.
Well, Ngidi was injured, isn't he? He's just coming off an injury of his own, Ngidi.
Oliver went from fit to not fit within, and it took a day. It didn't take an hour. It took a whole day for that to come out. So again, badly handled. Of the composition of the bowlers, knowing that Olivier couldn't play, we went in with the light bowling unit. Look, I know there are going to be people saying that Marwal shouldn't have played.
Yep.
And I think they would have been asking too much to bring in another pace bowler. It would have given us even a more samey sort of attack. We needed some kind of variety in there. So I would have stuck with that sitting that 11 that they picked. It was the right 11.
Okay, so we'll go with, as you said, the worst problem, with the batting, and it was very poor. Now maybe the wicket played up a bit. We know in South African pitches, bowling is a little bit better, but probably there's no excuse for that kind of result. I thought Bravuma looked very good. De Kock early looked very good. But I think the main problem, I don't want to single out a person, but I want to talk about this person, Aiden Markram. A word I hear a lot about him is talent. yes, he may have a lot of talent when he was early, made hundreds, and we thought, he's going to be the next South African captain. And unfortunately, Tim, that he is a far cry from that play. Yes, he made ones in Pakistan, I think, where he made a couple of 50s. But I think he is far from it, the player that we expected him to be, leading South Africa, being the next captain. How do you see Aiden Markram's current batting rows, and what future does he hold in South African cricket?
So you need to separate the formats for Aiden. Aiden is making a name for himself at the white ball now.
Yes.
He's now
yes.
cemented his place. He's now settled. Pretty much, he's doing the numbers. He's backing it up with scores. So he's doing well there. That's not an issue. He averaged before this Test match. He averaged 40 at home in Test cricket.
Yep.
Over 40. I think it was 42 point something or other.
That's good. That's very good on those pitches. Yeah. I have to admit.
So that's really good. As you said, that the South African pitches do tend to assist the bowlers.
Yep.
Aiden played this Test match really badly.
Yeah.
Really, really badly.
Yeah.
Both dismissals were. It was evidence of what happens to opposition teams when they come to South Africa. They don't know where their fourth stump is. They don't know. And that was what he was. He really struggled in both innings. Even though he lasted a fair while in the first innings, he struggled for the 13. He struggled.
Yeah.
Look, people talk about it because of that talent, because they know he is good.
Yeah.
He averages 67 in first-class cricket. You don't average 67 in first-class cricket if you're not good. It's just not possible. He just needs to score runs. It's as simple as that. He's good enough. He's talented enough. He's got the shots, and he can. He's shown he can bat for an hour without having to score too many runs. He doesn't have to chase balls and score 3.5 and over. He has to back it up. He did it in Pakistan in the beginning of the series. He did it, and he was successful. Now, if you could do it away in Pakistan, I would bet you could do it pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
Pretty much anywhere. He's just got to back it up. There's going to be a lot of debate about him because he is this really talented individual. He's not a Rasif van der Dussen who has very limited, but he works within his limits.
Yeah.
Markham is a lot more of a ceiling to reach. A lot more. Yeah, he could potentially average 50. That's how good he is, and I genuinely believe that he could do that. It's unfortunate. But what I would say is I know that there's a lot of talk about bringing him down in the middle order. In Test cricket, Ayaan is going to make it as an opener, or he isn't going to make it at all. What you do not want to do is you don't want to have a talented like this guy and bat him in 3 or 4 or 5 different positions.
No.
And try and find something that fits. Opener fits with him. Before this Test match, he and Elgar were averaging over 40 in Test cricket.
Yep.
Now, I know it's a small sample. It's only 10 innings. I get that, but that's all we played this year. We've only played 5 tests before this one. He was averaging over 40. Both of them averaging over 40. So, this was a bad Test match. He'll know it was a bad Test match. He'll know he played badly. I still think he can come good. But this is as good a challenge as he's going to have for a long time.
Yeah.
This Indian bowling attack is really good.
Yeah. We're not going to shut out one batsman because, let's be honest, Tim, probably outside Bravuma, they were probably horrible. Elgar was very good in the second innings, but again, not so good in the first innings. As a general whole, what happened? It was just a horrible collapse. What exactly went wrong with South Africa's batting, Tim? Was it good bowling? Was it bad shot selection? What exactly went wrong? I thought Peterson, he's another one I see a lot get smashed on social media. I won't bring up the reason why because it's irrelevant, but he gets harshly criticised. Bavuma also gets harshly criticised. So what went wrong? What can they do to fix it? South Africa's batting, so that doesn't happen again.
Okay, let's get to the fixing part before we get to the else.
Yeah.
The fixing part, easy. Get a full-time batting coach, not a glorified consultant. At the moment, we've got a consultant who works for one of the domestic sides. He was there for the Caribbean series. We didn't make 300 against the West Indies. He's here now. We didn't make 200 in this test match. Now, he's not the problem, but we need a full-time batting coach who is with the team 24/7, 365 days a year. Not coming in for a couple of weeks, doing a few things, and then going away. That you can afford if you are on a settled side and you are premier right at the top. We are sixth in the world for a reason. So we desperately need a full-time batting coach.
But before you go on to your other point, who have you got in mind? Who would you like to see take that job?
It's never going to happen, so it's pointless.
Okay.
So, Cricket South Africa are only employing South African individuals. Partly because of lack of funds. They are struggling for money, and they can't afford, for example, a Ricky Ponting. Or Mike Hussey. Or Stephen Fleming. They can't afford it.
Okay.
It's simple.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Well, they could actually, if they didn't pay certain individuals rather a lot of money. But that's another discussion for another day.
Go ahead, Tim. Keep going with your point.
The batting problem is technique. It's not lack of talent. It's not concentration. It's not arrogance. It's technique. You look at the dismissals. Most of them are playing across the line. Look at the dismissals against the West Indies. Yes, we won that series, but our batting dismissals were playing across the line. All of them are playing across the ball, not playing with America's name. Keegan Peterson, it's unfair to be criticising him till the cows come home. 6 innings, he has not come to the crease where South Africa have made 10. It's been 1, 2, 3. It's been single figures. Every time he's come to the crease, it's been single figures. So a guy who's new to Test cricket is coming when South Africa are 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1. Of course, he's going to struggle. Of course, he's going to find it difficult. That's a given. That being said, huge talent plays too many shots at this level. You can do that in our 4-day cricket. You can't do it at this level. So he's learning that on the job, and that's his concern. So I would bring him down a position. I wouldn't bat him at 3. In Rassie is fantastic at white ball. Revelation white ball cricket. He's only played 10 tests. But he's getting a little bit locked down. So when he gets locked down by a bowler, good bowling, he finds it difficult to release the pressure. He can't be able to release and just loft it over camera for 4 and release pressure. He doesn't have. He again is limited. Temper Performer batted really well. Temper Performer as well is limited. So you're never going to see Temper Performer hooking Bumrah for 6 over square leg.
No,
it's just not going. It's just not going to happen.
In any format.
It's just he can hit 6s, but they're very very seldom. So in general, it's a technique problem. They desperately problem with cricket South Africa is two big things: communication, management, and the individuals that are there are not given the right tools to succeed.
Yep.
So we've got a Proteas side that doesn't have a batting coach.
Yep.
England's got a full-time batting coach. Australia's got a full-time batting coach. So is India. As far as I'm aware, so does the West Indies.
Does England really have a full-time batting coach?
Maybe you should. Maybe they need a new one as well. They need a new one.
Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
So yeah, to ask us to try and be in the top three with the big three, without the correct tools and with poor communication, with poor communication between what's up above and the players, is very, very difficult.
Yep,
it's very difficult.
I think you bring up a very good point here with they haven't got the tools or communication. So I'll say this: is this team set up to fail?
Yes.
Because of the lack of tools. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then when you take into consideration of equality individuals that you just go, you know what, we don't need you, but don't tell those individuals.
Yeah.
It's
well,
we're going round in circles. We've been going round in circles since the post 2019 World Cup.
Yeah.
And we've just gone around in circles. That's all we've done.
And it's a shame, Tim, because this South African team, were on the peak of their performance. They bet Australia in Australia. They bet Australia in South Africa. So they were at the height of their powers. They were a powerhouse. Yes, they lost players due to retirement, which happens. You can't defeat Father Time. It happens. But just because you lose a couple of retirements does not mean you have to fall completely off the cliff. And it's just an absolute tragedy, Tim, that this has happened to South Africa, a very well respected cricket nation on field. I don't care really about the off field. That's not my decision, my comments to make. But I'm talking about off field. Very proud on field results. And it's just a shame that this has actually happened, Tim, where team management is in chaos. And it's speaking loud with on-field results. They are nowhere near. A lot of people forget this. It was only 4 years ago where they just bet Australia and Australia. They just didn't beat them, Tim. They humiliated Australia, especially in that Hobart Test match. That was only 4 short years ago. So this wasn't like 10 or 15 years ago. This was literally very recently. And to fall off the wheels very, very quickly, Tim, it must hurt.
It does.
I feel the pain a bit. So why has it come to this? Why has it bet Australia height of their powers, and why has it fallen off so quickly?
Simply, in a simple context, because of the mess that's been happening at the board level. While at the beginning that wasn't affecting the stuff on the field, it's now affecting the stuff on the field. Because you had large amounts of mismanagement. That's now stated. That's stated. That's not. I'm not making stuff up. That's been stated in committees and etc. Large amounts of that. So it is true. For example, Cricket South Africa don't have the money. They don't have the reserves that they did 5 years ago. They don't have those reserves. So they are correct. They cannot employ a Mike Hussey to come in for the batting coach. We used Mike Hussey a few years ago. We can't, unless Mike Hussey goes for, I don't even know what the currency is now. I'm happy to earn a pittance. Unless he does that, which he'd be mad to. Honestly, he'd be mad to. We can't afford that. We actually cannot afford that. So we can't afford the best.
But
The best.
yeah, go on, Tim.
One of our best, Gary Kirsten, has just said he wants to coach England. Now he says he just wants to do the test team. But the point is, why aren't we going after him?
Yeah.
We had him before. He was successful. Why aren't we re-engaging with him? At the moment, all we're doing is going round and round a circle. There is no... I cannot see a direction.
Yeah.
I cannot see a direction where we're going. All I can see is if you quit cricket South Africa, we don't care.
Yeah.
That's what I see. I see that, and that is the problem. That is the problem. You can't treat individuals that you employ in that fashion. You just can't. It's not sustainable. So there are green shoots. It's not all doom and gloom. There are green shoots.
Yeah.
So I think, for example, our domestic structure, the change, I think long term will be good. I think it will be good. Do we have replacements for Quinton De Kock? We have two very good replacements for Quinton De Kock.
Yep. I'm going to get into that.
Yeah, really good wicketkeeper batsmen, talented individuals. Yep. They are not Quinton De Kock, but they are, in my opinion, good enough to play the 3 formats. Both of them. They are good enough. The talent is there.
Yep.
We have to start picking that talent.
Yes. Yep.
That is where we are now. There are a lot of guys that were not picked for the A series against India.
Yep.
That should have been picked. There's a lot of guys. There's 3 or 4 guys that should have been in there, and for many reasons, they were not picked.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. There's so much going on at the moment if you get South Africa off the field. There's so much going on off the field that it is having a detrimental effect on what is happening on the field.
Yeah.
That is the problem. And until that is fixed, until we can come together as one, we are going to continue to struggle on the field. We are going to beat the Bangladeshers. We'll beat Bangladesh next. We'll beat Bangladesh. No problem. We beat the West Indies. No problem. We are not going to beat England 6 months from now, in July. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. England got lots of problems. But England, we have 0 chance.
Yeah.
As things stand right now, 0.
Yep. And like I said to him, that's the most disappointing thing, because when you see recently, you see South Africa absolutely embarrassed Australia. Before that series started, you've known South Africa as a fighting team. You wouldn't dare say they've got 0 chance, during that tour. And now, like you've just said, England are in a world of trouble. Their batting lineup is an absolute joke outside Joe Root. And you're saying, and other people are saying, they've got 0 chance. That's very a powerful thing, Tim, to say that, considering all these sides, they'd another Graham Smith, they'd another Faf du Plessis, the fighting spirit. And that's a very disappointing thing to hear. I do want to go, you did mention DeKock's replacements. We'll go to the second test match. We'll go to selection. Obviously you need to make a change to the wicketkeeper, obviously. So we'll start with that. Who is the wicketkeeper that you would bring in to replace DeKock?
Kyle Verreynne of Western Province. He was in the series that was supposed to be played against the Netherlands before they had to go home. He made 94, 95 against them in that one game before we got home. Huge talented individual. 24 years old. Averages 50 in first class cricket, which is better than a lot of people. Huge talent. He could be, and he could definitely play across all 3 formats. The one thing is he hasn't quite taken his chances when he's played for the South African side. He hasn't played Test cricket yet, but a white ball. Apart from that series, that the game against the Netherlands, overall he hasn't quite clicked. But now it's not a situation of we're going to play one game, cricket's coming back. It's a situation of you're probably going to be our Test keeper.
Yeah.
So huge amount of responsibility on his shoulders because he knows now he has to perform.
Yeah.
Has to perform. So he would be, he's the incumbent and he will come in. I'm sure of it.
Now, we all know DeKock is a very good gloveman. How good is he with the gloves? Is he on par with DeKock, not so much great, or is he better? How do you see he as a gloveman? Well, I'll be more specific. Do you trust him to take those screaming catches, to take very good catches? Do you trust him in that department as a gloveman, to take stumpings and all that? Do you trust him as a keeper?
Yes. No, my worries about him are not at keeping. My worry is that particularly this Indian attack, he might find it difficult.
Okay.
As with all our batters have found it. Wicket keeping is not. I'm not concerned about his keeping. He's a good keeper.
Yep. And the last question I'd like to answer you is about selection. Apart from the wicket keeper, would you keep the same 11? Would you change bowlers? Who would you bring in? Who would you like to see be brought in? Of course, I think Olivier must play. That's a must. That's if he is not playing in this next Test match, and he's not in, he's 100%. Then they've absolutely gone mental. The board and the selection panel have gone absolutely off their head. He must surely play, Tim, without a question of doubt. It doesn't matter if it's an absolute road, green top. If they graffiti the damn pitch, put water on it, he must play the next Test, no matter what. Surely, Tim.
That's what I said before the first test.
Yep.
That's what I said before the first test.
Yep.
He said no. If they talk about bowling loads, he said no cricket between the first and the second.
Yeah.
So your guess is as good as mine. But look, but all in all seriousness, he has to play. He absolutely has to play.
Yep.
His average at the Wanderers this year is phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. He's averaging 11 with the ball in first-class cricket. On those pitches, nobody has made 200 in first-class cricket. Now, I know that there's a difference between first-class and international. I don't think there's going to be a huge difference on this pitch. I think this is going to be over in 3 days.
I'll give you a perfect example of that. Scott Boland, whose average wasn't 10, but it was around 13, 14, took a tremendous amount of wickets on that pitch. And look what he did with his seam movement. Absolutely tore England to shreds. So on those pitches, it doesn't really matter. You're correct. Anyone else you'd like to see being replaced or brought in?
The all-rounder.
Yep. Mulder?
I like Mulder. Yeah,
yep.
Sorry, there was a pause.
Yep.
My mind was just was getting more emotional because I love Mulder.
Yeah,
lovely guy. Lovely individual. Everybody likes him.
Yep.
Numbers are good at first-class cricket. I thought he bowled quite well. I didn't always think the Indian bats like him, but he's not in the side to bowl. Yeah. He's in that side to make runs.
Yeah.
As a batting all-rounder.
Yeah.
So you could find that they will play 2 wicketkeepers. Obviously, the other one will just play as batsman. Yep. Ryan Rickleton from the Lions. The Wanderers is his home ground. He made 100, I think, in his last game there. Hugely talented individual. So we would probably then go with a 7-4 split.
Yep.
So the 7 batsmen, 4 bowlers.
Yep.
And say to the 4 bowlers, listen, if you guys don't get the 20 wickets, well, then we're not winning the Test match.
Yeah.
If Rabada, Lungi, Markham, and Olivier don't get 20 wickets, well, then we're stuffed anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that we might do that.
Yeah.
I think they want to keep Mulder. because I know the Mulder is good, talented individual, but it might be an idea to just take him away for a bit. Our full-day cricket's going to return in a couple of weeks, touch wood. So maybe that might be an idea for him to go back into the structures and score some runs. A similar sort of situation that you guys have with Green. You guys were waiting for Green to make runs.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
really good bowler, and real asset as a bowler, but you guys are waiting for him to perform with the runs.
Yeah, I've had strong opinions on Cameron Green, yeah.
We are desperately waiting for Mulder to come good.
Yep.
We look, like Markram, we are sure that Markram and Mulder will come good in red ball. We're sure we will. We're certain of it. But nothing cricket is certain.
Yeah, just on Mulder, did it surprise you that he bowled a lot of overs? Those, you said he was there for a batting all-rounder. He bowled a lot of overs. Were you surprised at that? Did you like that, or would you prefer it to be focus on his batting and just be a 4 or 5 over per innings bowler?
The latter. I understand why he bowled as much, because he was shaping it away, and the batters were not necessarily all that comfortable. It's amazing what 125 Ks just moving away a little bit can do to quality batsmen. But no, for me, it's a batsman who bowls 8-9 overs a day. That's it.
Yep. Okay.
Bowling 8 or 9, but being a batsman.
Yep. All right, Tim. We've covered the first test review. We've spoke a little bit about the hierarchy, the board in that, and of course previewed for the second test match. We appreciate your contribution on this show. I love speaking to you. Very good opinion, very opinionated, very passionate, which I actually like. I much prefer a guy that's passionate than a yes man myself. So thank you, Tim, for coming on, and hopefully we'll see you for the second test preview. Hopefully you get your wish of Olivier. Let's hope for that, because I have a feeling if we get you on to that second test match, he's not playing, I think you might absolutely go insane, Tim. So and I actually hope you absolutely bloody do. So Tim Dale, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we will look forward to seeing you in the second test match before it starts.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks.
No problem. And that's the end of the show, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please follow Tim on Twitter. Follow myself. Our names are down below. We really enjoy speaking to you and improving our knowledge about the game, whether it's all formats or just one. So thank you very much. Tim, thank you for joining, and see you later, everybody.
Cheers.